If you are serious about a black woman and you are a white man, please don't try to compare or compete with black men or what you think black women want. Be yourself. Get to know a woman for who she is, what she's bringing to the table, and all those important things about her that make her who she is. Get to know that first and let all the other stuff kind of fall into place. The road to love is exciting, funny, and sometimes can even be heartbreaking. But in the end, it'll all be worth it. Join me on my journey to love. Hey everybody, it's LaRonda and I am back with another video. And today's video is about first date number 9 of 2021. And this man is the oldest man that I've ever been out with in my entire life at the age of 59, sorry. And so what happened was I met him on Bumble and his profile said 48 because I've got my limit on Bumble set to between 35 and 50, I think. And so he came up, but I could tell from what he looked like that he was probably older. And he did say in his profile that I am older than 48 or whatever, but didn't want to get caught up in the filters. So he told me later, after we started talking, that he likes to date younger women. So anyway, I saw this man's pictures and I wasn't completely, I would say I wasn't really attracted to him at all. But what caught my attention was that he had on a t-shirt, a gray t-shirt with a woman with an afro on it. Now this is an older white man, okay? He had a t-shirt with a black woman on it with a huge afro, and underneath that said Black Girl Magic. And so I was like, well, just on the strength of like complete curiosity, because I had never seen a white man or black, I had never seen any man, first of all, wearing a Black Girl Magic t-shirt, let alone a white man. So this was a whole other thing for me. So I decided to put, you know how on Bumble you can react to someone's photo, but I didn't say anything because I knew I wasn't attracted to the guy. So I reacted to the photo because I did want to let the man know, respect, I see you, thank you, whatever. But then that opens up a conversation. So once you put that, I thought that if I didn't say anything, it would expire or whatever. But anyway, he ended up saying something to me. I didn't respond to it. I can't even remember what he said at this point. I didn't respond to that. And then he said something else that prompted me to respond. And I can't remember what it was. I'll try to, I don't even think I kept the text because, you'll see why later on. So anyway, I ended up going ahead talking to him, and he, just started leaving. No, you know what he did? He sent me a voicemail. After I didn't respond to the first thing that he typed, he sent me a voicemail, and his voice sounded kind of deep or whatever. I don't know. I was kind of attracted to the man's voice, so I went ahead and started talking to him. And anyway, we decided that we were going to meet up about halfway between both of us in media one evening for a dinner. And so we did. He chose the place, which was nice. Again, you know how I feel about that. One of the things that I love is that the men are making some decisions about where we're going to go. That's one less thing that I got to worry about. Worrying about like when are we finally gonna meet, and then where are we gonna go and what time and all that kind of stuff. I hate that. So I love that all I had to do was tell him what day and time I was available. He chose the place and I just had to show up. So that was nice. So once we got to we had talked on the phone a couple of times, and he told me that he listens and watches Crystalline Karazin videos. Now, if you don't know, Crystalline Karazin, she used to be Beyond Black and White, but now I think she has another thing that's called the Pink Pill. And back in the day, like I remember her from back in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, something like that, seeing her stuff where she was talking about swirling and she had written a book about it and all that. And so anyway, this man told me that he's been watching Crystalline Karazin and all this stuff, and that he has just seen black women just kind of melt into their femininity when, when he does whatever he does and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, and it's probably true. So, as many people know, black women have this certain stereotype that is placed on us that we're masculine and that, all this kind of stuff. But I think it's because a lot of times we've had to be a certain level of masculine just to get through life and to make sure we had what we needed to take care of our kids in the absence of their fathers and things like that. I know that's my situation. And yes, maybe at times I may come off masculine. I don't know. I don't think so, but who knows? So anyway, when I get into a situation with a man that actually takes the initiative to do things and I don't have to worry about it, that's a beautiful thing for me. And yes, it allows me to soften myself up and not have to worry about, anything or whatever. And I love that. Anyway, but there is a point in time where that can be misinterpreted by men. And this date was one of those situations. So I met up with the guy at one of these restaurants in Media, really nice restaurant. And I got there. I still wasn't really attracted to him. But, what I always do, even when I'm not attracted to people, is still continue to try to engage them, because you never know, even if you're not attracted, if that person could be somebody for you, because, maybe you can see past the physical looks or whatever and connect on some other level. So I still continue to try to engage with the man and have conversation. So we talked a little bit further about, how he is a part of Crystalline Karazin's Facebook group, and he's talked to many black women, and he's seen black women just melt into their femininity, around him and being with him and all of this kind of stuff. But I felt like he was taking things a little bit more sexual. So even in our conversations before we had met, he was talking about, he wanted me to think about what it would be like to kiss him and this kind of thing. And, and to think about that once we got off the phone. And so I told him, I'm not really into that, because I know I've been in situations where I've had a decent conversation with somebody over the phone, but then once I get with them in person, I'm not interested, or I don't feel comfortable with them, or I don't feel attracted to them, or whatever. So for me, it doesn't make sense to sit on after we hang up the phone, to fantasize about some guy that I've never met, or I've only seen pictures of and whatever, or only spoken to on the phone one time. That didn't even appeal to me in the least bit. So then when he called me or messaged me later on, another day to confirm this date, he asked me if I had thought about what he had said, and I told him no, for the very reason that I just said. I wasn't interested in doing that. We'll save that for when I meet you in person. If I meet you in person and I'm interested, then maybe I'll start fantasizing about kissing you or whatever. But other than that, I didn't see any reason for me to do any of that. So anyway, he's like, okay, party pooper, and I'll see you on Wednesday or whatever day we were just going to meet. So anyway, I get to the restaurant, I meet with him. I'm still, like I said, still not attracted to him, but continue engaging with him. He's a nice guy, I guess. But I could tell from some of the comments that he was making, that he was when he thinks of submission and things like that, his thought is, every woman, he says, every woman wants you to tell them what to wear, so like do one of those numbers where, you come home and the husband's got, a box with a dress in it, a certain dress that he wants you to wear, and he tells you to show up somewhere at a certain time and place or whatever, and just be there when you're supposed to be, with what he wants you to wear on and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, yeah, that's cute and everything. And then, he was saying other things about like how women like to be dominated sexually or whatever and stuff like that, and like, in the bedroom and things like that. And he asked me, well, what level of femininity am I in the bedroom? And I told him I'm probably somewhere in the middle, But for me, it was all a bit much to be asking these kinds of questions and telling me these things. And then like, at one point he had like pulled me over to him and started like grabbing my neck kind of, but trying to do it in a way that he thought was sexy. But like for me, it wasn't, because number one, I don't know you. You don't know me. You don't know what my history is. At one point we had both gone to the bathroom at the restaurant. The bathrooms are kind of back there in the same place. And he had been saying something to me before about, I deserved a spanking for something. And I can't even remember what it was. And so when we were both going to the separate bathrooms before we were leaving the restaurant, he went and like popped me really hard on my butt, and for me, oh, there's that, that spanking that I deserved or whatever. And I'm like, nah, like when Crystal and Karazin and these other women that are talking about swirling and all of that kind of stuff are talking about, black women being able to melt into their feminine. For me, it's not all about the sexual part of it. It's more about like me being able to relax and know that things are taken care of, that I don't always have to take the lead in the home with the bills or the finances or where we're going to go, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, what's our game plan as a family, what's our budget, where, all of that stuff. For me, that's where I would prefer to be able to melt into my femininity. Now, when you're talking about in the beginning of a relationship, when you're just meeting somebody, I don't expect you to, try to be aggressive with me because you think that that's what I want, or that's what it means for me to be feminine, for me to just be submissive to you in a sexual way where you can just kind of do whatever you want. And you think that that's, to me, it was too soon for all of that, and just because you heard that in a group of women on Facebook, or you heard Crystal and Karazin say something about that on her video, or about this feminine thing, you need to take that with a bit of temperance and like understanding. It's not for the first date, especially when it comes to the sexual side of things and all of that stuff, and being too aggressive. I mean, it was just way too much for me, right? So anyway, we ended up leaving the restaurant, and he was wanting to kiss and all that kind of stuff in the parking lot. And in this day and age, like sometimes because of how aggressive he was, I almost felt like I needed to go along with it because I didn't know what could have happened if I had rejected him. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times when you reject men, sometimes that can also go wrong. And I could see how aggressive he was being with, slapping me on the butt and, grabbing me around my neck a little bit and stuff like that. Even though it wasn't it wasn't tight or anything like that. But for me, there was a certain level of aggression there that I didn't like or feel comfortable with. So I went along with it or whatever, got in my car and left. Now, he had said he wanted to meet up again and wanted to invite me over to his place to make me dinner. And, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll see, whatever, And I kind of just got in my car and left. And he had asked me to text him when I got home, and I did. And that was it. So then the next day, he texts me, giving me 3 options, of what he could possibly make for me for dinner on Friday. And I never responded back to him. And so then around, later on in the day, towards the evening, after the whole day had passed without a response. And so he gave me 3 options. So he said, so option 4 then? And then I said, yes, option 4 for me, because the way the date went was a little bit more aggressive, much more aggressive than what I am looking for in my relationships, or especially because you don't know my history of abuse or rape. You don't know any of that stuff about me. And so to have been so aggressive and so forward with me just because you think that that's what being able to melt into my femininity means, and telling me, oh, I know you're so attracted to me and all this. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what is it that I'm doing that has given off the, I never touched him without him asking me to. Like, he asked me what were my 3 favorite body parts of men. And, and he was like, I think he wanted me to say some of the more vulgar things, because he was like, and if you want to say the package, you feel free to say that. But, for me, that's not my favorite part. And even if it was, I wouldn't tell him that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to tell you that because this is our first date and I'm not interested in being overly sexual with you or letting you know what my fantasies are when I don't even know your last name. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get to all the other things about each other that we could talk about and get to know each other on a different level that's not just about sex. And and so now you're inviting me over to your place for dinner and all this kind of stuff after all that aggression, and he's telling me in the parking lot on the way out, I know, just being really vulgar. And I can't even repeat half of the stuff that he said to me on this video. So I told him that, you don't know my history. And to me, the way that you were acting and the things that you were saying were over the top. And so I would not feel comfortable putting myself in a position to come over to your place and have dinner with you at your place, not with no buffer. At least in this restaurant, there were people there. So there's only so much that he's really going to do. But once I get into a space with him alone and I'm driving all the way out to East Bumble to talk to him or whatever, or spend an evening with him, no way. No way. So for me, if I could give white men any advice when you're dating a black woman and you're thinking, because you've been watching some of these swirling channels that, black women want their men to be aggressive, or if you're trying to be aggressive to the level that you think black men are, because he did say something about, black men have swag and they're more forward and aggressive or whatever. But even black men are not doing it like this. Maybe there are some of them who are, maybe, I don't know. But what I'm saying to you is get to know a woman first. And that also opens up a woman's femininity when it looks like to her and feels like to her that you are really interested in getting to know her, who she is on a level that is not sexual, but just you want to know about her, what makes her tick, what makes her laugh, what makes her happy, what makes her cry. All of those things to me are much more important for you to start with than what body parts on you I like, and what I want you to do to me to sexually and all that kind of stuff. Like, more or less, I'm not even interested in that about you, because I'm looking for something real. That's not what I'm looking for. So anyway, that's the only advice I would give. Try to, if you are serious about a black woman and you are a white man, please don't try to compare or compete with black men or what you think black women want. Be yourself. Get to know a woman for who she is, what she's bringing to the table, and all those important things about her that make her who she is. Get to know that first, and let all the other stuff kind of fall into place. You know, because I guarantee you, if you get to know a woman on a deeper level, you're not going to have a problem in the sexual department. It's not even going to be an issue. It's not even going to be something that you really going to have to do all that much discussion about. Because, you know, for me, the quickest way to get me excited and turned on is by being a man who wants to get to know me at a deeper level. So anyway, I think I've said enough. This video has gone on forever. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this dating time story, please like and subscribe and share the video with some of your friends who may be going through some of the same stuff that I'm going through. And at the end of the day, like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I told the man what I had to say, and I blocked him, and that was it. You know, I didn't want to have any further discussion about it. I didn't want to leave him hanging by just not responding to him at all. But I did go ahead and respond back to him and let him know, you know, that I felt like he was way too forward and all that kind of stuff on the date. And that was it, you know, and then I blocked him. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Happy dating, everybody. Bye-bye.